93 Oldsmobile steering wheel control small bulb lamp replacement. First, of course, you disconnect the airbag, pull the fuse, disconnect the yellow wire at the base of the column, and then there's 4 torque set screws behind the wheel. Pull off the airbag assembly, then take the 4 screws out, 2 on each side, to get your switches out. Then you have your switches loose, took the 2 screws out, and you have a switch loose on each side. Now we're going to take these 2 screws out on each side, and you will get to the bulbs. Once you get the switch unbolted here with those 2 screws, you're going to pull this back and you're going to see this little circuit board inside. Now the circuit board will just pull up. The circuit board will just pull up, and there will be your 2 bulbs. These are real easy. If you have some holding device, you don't have to take any of this off. Just set it on the side. Holding device like this that'll hold it with alligator clips. You'll be good. Then all you do is you have your soldering gun heated up here. Touch these 2 terminals, trying not to hit the black one. There's a spacer. Hit these 2 terminals with your soldering iron like this. Heat those up and your bulb's gonna fall right out. And do the same on the other side. Depends upon how many bulbs you need. We're going to put both on this side. You have to be careful when you drop this off. Once you unbolted that, there's 4 switch contacts in here that if you tip this over, the switch contacts will come out. You'll have 4 of these to locate and reinsert. These little pins, plastic pins. Also, this one had a bad button cover. It was cracked here. We're going to have to fix that. As you can see, that's supposed to be a hole like this that fits on over the pins here. And if that pops off, you're going to lose 2 springs, little springs for the switches. Usually they're not broken, but if they are, you have to be careful. You locate these springs and your button to put on later. Like I said, if you turn this over, you're going to lose your 4 pins also. That's no big deal. Stick them back in, put the springs in, and this clips right on. Okay, now I heated this up here, and the bulb came right out with the spacer. Now the spacer is separate, and we're going to put when we reassemble, we're going to put the spacer in first, and then the bulb, the good bulb in. Here's our good bulbs over there. Put the good bulb in into the spacer. Once the spacer is inserted into the circuit board, and then resolder, and we're set to go, hopefully. You should also heat up a pin if these holes are full of solder. Sorry about that. Heat up the pin and put it through the solder. Get the solder out of these holes so you can easily insert the new bulb. Clean out the holes so you got a good area to push the bulb through. Once you get your contact holes reamed out, they should look something like this. We had a little trouble with this one. The solder kept flowing back in with our pin. Like this one, we didn't do this one yet. But this one's ready to go. We just put our spacer in there and the bulb, solder it, and it should be fine. You can use a pick of this nature to clean out those holes once you got some of it started, and that'll make them big enough for the test fit your lamp. Fits good in through there. Then all you do is insert the spacer in the lamp, and we'll solder it from there. I just inserted the spacer, and the bulb legs go through the spacer. The spacer is pinned in. There's a small pinhole, the 3rd pinhole the spacer locks in with, and then your bulb goes in, slides through the guys or the spacer into the board. And I push the bulb in, and you can see the legs sticking out, ready for solder. Make sure your bulb is straight in the board so it fits in the switches. Both have to be straight and parallel. And I'll do the other one and we'll solder them in. Here's the next 3 holes ready to go. This bulb's in, and we'll put the second bulb in. Okay, both bulbs are in. They're straight. Gonna go into back, reassemble the switches to it. Don't tip this over because you have your 4 little switch pins in there. We'll just slide the circuit board right on top of that. Okay, the circuit board is in place on the back of the switches. You can see my one broken switch. You can see where the bulb sticks out. I'll repair that shortly. And this one here is ready to go. And my spare switches from the yard are cracking too here. You can see the plastic here's got a crack. That's what happened to this one where it popped off. And there's another one with the same cracking problem. We'll have to find a better one. Yeah, this one looks good. We'll pop her off and melt her in. Okay, I got this one off. I'm gonna take a chunk of this and put it on the bad one. But when this came off, also you can see where if your switch does come apart, your 2 springs are. They stay in there. And then this goes on top, and this goes over the hole where the lamp would come through, if yours comes apart that far. This one just had to be fixed because the button was bad. But if your button's good, you shouldn't even have to do any of this. You can just replace the bulbs like we did on the board. Another item on these bulbs, the bad bulbs I had out of the 93 said 14 volts on them. On the forums, the guys are saying you can buy these bulbs separate at Radio Shack. Maybe I haven't gone in to do that. Instead of hunting through the junkyards to find some airbags, you can maybe go to Radio Shack and just get this type of bulb. But I noticed the 93s were different than the other ones I pulled out of the 92 Toro 88s and 98s. So we'll see when we're done if this is all going to work. But the bulbs are stamped 14 volt on the 93 airbag. The others were not. And the bulbs at Radio Shack, I believe, are 12 volt, 50 milliamps. When you're putting this back together, too, don't forget your plastic insulator here that goes on top of the board like so, and then you push this all back together. This one's on here. It fits right over this pin. Alright, got those back in, both sides. And looks good. We'll plug her in, see if we did any good. Okay folks, there you have it. I plugged her back in the car. They're all 4 working. I'll take a picture of it tonight in the dark where you can see it better. But all 4 bulbs are working. So for $2 at the Boneyard, recycler, soldering iron, couple of pins, and some small screwdrivers, transfer your bulbs from some working units, and you're good to go. Why do we go through all this trouble? You know they're not available, and if they were like $270. So you did it for $2 and a little time, and you got your touring sedan working well. Thank you. They work. They're on. Look at that. Okay. All right, all 4. Very good. 91 to 93 Olds 98 steering wheel control control light bulbs.